Hey, Bubba, Harry Mack from the Bookies Basement. Hope you're doing well. So, I want to know, how do you think the PFL featherweight division stacks up with Braves?
I think the PFL division is a little bit more tough because of all the caliber of wrestlers. The organization overseas lacks the competition in wrestling, and I believe the more wrestlers you have in the division is it makes it the more difficult division because if you look at historically, most of the better champions have a base in that. So the lack of wrestlers makes me feel like they can't handle me, and the more wrestlers that there are makes me feel like they put up a little bit more of a difficult challenge. But I am a wrestler at base, so I don't wrestle the wrestlers and I don't strike the strikers. I try to mix it up the best way I can, and that's just the way I see it.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Up next, Damon Martin.
Crowded. A lot of
Damon, you here?
a lot of people out there.
All right,
Pretty
Damon,
cool.
we're gonna come right back to you. Tom Ward, go ahead.
Hey Bubba, Tom Moore from Gimme Sport here. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
I just want to read you a quote that you did with an interview with My MMA News. You said, "I used to beat Lance Palmer for a Big Mac and an orange soda." I was just wondering if you could touch on that a bit and explain your history.
Yeah, man. Me and Palmer go way back as far as like 12, 13 years old and wrestling in the same tournaments, big national tournaments when we were in, middle school, high school and things like that. But I wrestled him multiple times in college. And if you know anything about the NCAA, they don't like to pay their athletes. So all I could afford was a Big Mac and an orange soda. And that was all I was looking forward to after any match. And after I beat Palmer, that was that was the things that I ate. So a lot of times, when I was cutting weight and my coach would be like, "Hey man, if you win this match, you can get a Big Mac and an orange soda." That was like our little thing. And one time I had Palmer on the menu, and I beat him, ate him up a lot, and I was quickly at the next McDonald's ordering that Big Mac and an orange soda. So literally, I used to beat Palmer for a Big Mac and orange soda. It's amazing that they're giving me some commas for it now, but I'll take it how I can get it.
So
It's
following on from that, then, if you win the tournament, what are you going to buy first?
I'm gonna buy headquarters, a crib, a house, a home. Uh, I'm I got a jeweler who sponsors me. Everything that I need, I get sponsored because I got a good look, I got a good face, I got a face for TV, not for radio. So it just makes sense to get all that stuff sponsored and endorsed. But when I spend my coins, it's gonna be on something to leave an inheritance for my children. That's for sure.
All right, Damon Martin, are you here now?
I am. Bubba, you and Lance, as you mentioned, do go back a long ways with the college wrestling, but he had said that there's no real rivalry. It was, 15 years ago, whatever it was when you actually wrestled. Is there a rivalry between you two, or is it just a competitive thing?
It's a competitive thing for sure. Rivalries is when you go back and forth, and he hasn't gone back and forth with me. He's came short multiple times over. So a rivalry is, back and forth, you, me. It's just been me, and again, it's going to be me, and we'll see how it goes. Like you said, you're right. It's not a rivalry at all.
Were you glad that PFL gave you him right out of the gate in your first fight?
No, I was not glad. I was excited, but I wasn't glad. I figured beating a man like Palmer would give me $1 million since he's been the two-time $1 million champion. So to fight him in the first round, which is nowhere near $1 million, is a massive pay cut for having to do the same amount of work. But I do feel like it's a favorable matchup. I do feel like on paper and in reality, it looks good for me in my camp. I'm a bad man, and he's the party boy, and I plan to crash every balloon that gets blown up.
Thanks, Bubba.
Up next, Mike.
Hello, Bubba. This is Michael from Mike Owens Media. Given Lance Palmer has won the PFL tournament twice, how big of a win would this be on your resume?
Oh, it'd be massive. It'd be massive. I'm known as the champ killer. In college, I beat 10 national champions. I've gone to other organizations and beaten their champions right off the bat. This is not something new for me, but it would be massive. Palmer is a tough fighter, a tough individual. He's gone 11-0. He's not only just a two-time $1 million champ winner, he's won the championships in other organizations before this one. So he's a very formidable opponent. I think people get my banter and the way that I speak as if I'm downplaying who Palmer is. I know exactly who Palmer is, and that's why I speak the way I speak. He's tough. He's dangerous. Out of 25 fights, I believe the man's won 22 of them. He is no joke, but he is not where I am yet.
Superb. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Up next, Ronald Smith.
Hello, y'all can hear me?
Yes.
This is Ronald E. Smith from Getting Real. Bubba, how you doing?
I'm always good, man. Grandma cookies.
That's what I'm talking about. But the one thing I want to ask you is how every other fighter, just like all of us, 2020 was a very hard year. So for you during that whole time, where was your head at and how were you able to keep focused through those times?
Man, I'm a big believer in Christ, and the Lord's reserved me multiple times in Bellator and in other organizations. I have had long layoffs, alpha wins, and long layoffs between fights. So it wasn't anything new for me to have, a year off or some time off between fights. So I really just focus on the things that I've always focused on, is getting better, not lying to self, looking myself in the mirror, making sure that I check all the boxes when I come to the places that I lack. And, I end up building a gym, end up becoming a head coach, end up becoming an African-American all in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. So, I checked a lot of those boxes off my goals while I wasn't in the cage, but it just was a place to kind of focus in on myself and my family and try to get to a better place when the season does come back. And we here, baby, we live.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read a question from Dustin Kish. You last fought in MMA back in 2019. Do you believe in ring rust, or is this more of a mental thing?
It's mental. It's always going to be mental. Like I said, I've been preserved very well. I've been in the game for a long time without having as many fights as a lot of these other people. Like I said, Palmer's got 25 fights. I believe I have 19, 20 maybe. But with those fights, I've had so many different layoffs and, stuff like that. So my first part of my career, I was rapidly fighting, and then it slowed down drastically. So it just gave me opportunities to get better inside the cage and outside the cage as a person, as a man. I've grown from being a college graduate to becoming a husband, to becoming a father, and, trying to mix all those things together. It's got me to where I am today. So all glory to the Lord, but I'm here now and we ready to go.
Up next, Darnell.
How you doing, Bubba? Just wanted to ask you about the time that you spent on The Ultimate Fighter with John Jones and what you learned the most through that experience, and the difference between you then and now.
The difference between me then and now is, like I said, I'm probably a little bit more mature. I know the game, the way the game works. It's not a tough man's sport. I was taking, at that time, I would fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I still have that mindset, but to be strategic about things, to have matchups, to look at each opponent with a different eye, to be more professional. You go from becoming a challenger to becoming a contender, and then I became champion. So the mindset obviously changes as you develop. So that's one thing that I got to do better. And just being under the wing, even though I'm older than Jones, just being under the wing of what superstardom was, 7 weeks in Vegas was a different experience at that level. So I got to learn a lot, got to see a lot, got to be around a lot of different people. And, I'm a networking spider. I figure out how to get in the best places, find myself at the best tables, and people, they favor me. There's something about, I guess, my transparency, or just my little swag that I have, my characteristics, my personality, that, once you know Bubba, you kind of dig them. I'm not hard to get along with.
Thank you.
Up next, Will Getling.
Hey, Bubba, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. I had nowhere else to go.
So I've noticed that you've had some amazing finishes in your past. Are you planning on finishing, Lance?
Absolutely. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but I'm going to do in less than 15 minutes what they couldn't do in the last 2.5, 5 years. So I plan to knock him out in the second round. I see one round of grace and one round of pace.
Awesome. Good luck.
Up next, Global Fight Talk.
Hi, Bubba. This is Sab from Global Fight Talk. I just wanted to ask what kind of opportunity this is for you and how excited are you?
It's a big opportunity. I'm fighting the champ in his organization and what they would call his weight. It's a major opportunity. Anytime you can fight for the comments that we're fighting for, or the check that we're fighting for, it's obviously game changing. And I'm a very smart individual. You put $1 million in my pocket, I'm the NBA. I'll never be broke again.
Appreciate you. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Up next, Alder.
Hey, Bella. Thanks for doing this. I'm Alder from Empire Sports Media in New York. I would just like to ask, what's your relationship with Lance off the cage? And since you've been beating him in college, do you think that mental edge will help you in this match?
It will absolutely help me in this match. I feel as though I'm in his head, whether he wants to believe it or not. He's thought about the things that we've gone through, and he can dismiss that it was 15 years ago, but like one of the movies says, people don't forget. And I'm pretty excited that it is him. It's someone that I'm familiar with, and it's a big matchup. I'm pretty excited about it. My relationship with him was a really good one. Even when he came to Penn State, and when I saw him at wrestling tournaments and stuff like that, we were always, laughing it up, good friends. We have the same agent, so we've been at a couple of different events over the past year together. But I've shut off a little bit of that friendship. I haven't seen him since I've been here in quarantine, but I shut off that friendship. We'll be cool. We'll shake hands. We'll be cordial. It's not going to be any weird stuff going on during the, lead up to this fight. I'm not that type of guy anyway. So it's going to be all sportsmanship, all competitiveness. But at the end of the day, I'm a competitor. I'll beat my mama in a race if she step up.
Thank you.
Daniel.
Hey, what it do, Bubba? It's Breeze from the MMA Breeze. I wanted to get
what it is.
Yeah, man, just had to be here. So I wanted to ask you. I saw something in one of the interviews with MMA Junkie about Lance and him talking about the matchup with you. He says something that's going to be a problem for you this go around is his pace and his pressure. We know you guys have a long history, and you've been on some of the biggest platforms in wrestling with Lance, and his pace and pressure didn't seem to be a problem then. Why do you think now here at PFL, another big stage, but something you're used to, why do you think that he thinks the pace will be a factor this time?
I think he thinks I'm very similar to these other fighters that has an ability to wrestle, but not be able to deal with his wrestling. Deja vu is one thing, not deja vu, but what's the lack of memory? I can't think of the word. Literally, I can't think of the word of not thinking of the word that has you lacking memory. But amnesia. That's it. Amnesia has, I believe, set in a little bit on him, but not on me. It's been 15 years, as he says, since I beat him, but I know that's playing in his head. So, man, pressure makes diamonds, and I've been under a lot of pressure my whole entire life. The fact that I can punch him more than I have to wrestle him, the fact that I can be the athlete that I naturally am, I think he discounts the athleticism that I bring to the MMA sport. That's one of the reasons why I didn't continue to be a wrestler or go on the Olympic team or stuff like that. I wanted to be more of the athlete that my body allows me to be. So I think the athleticism, the speed, the power that I bring is going to disrupt a lot of his plans. And I don't think he'll come forward as much as he would like to say that he would. The pressure means that he's on the gas and he's coming after me, and I don't see that in none of his fights. He looks to be waiting for his takedown. He looks to be waiting for the man to make the mistake and then attack that. So, that what he's saying completely goes against who he is. He is a pressure fighter, but he's not a pressure as far as like moving the guy back. I definitely will not be the defensive guy in this fight.
Thanks, Bubba. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
All right, our last question, Sergio.
Bubba, how you doing, man? This is Sergio from the Fight Podcast.
What's up, man?
Maintain it, family. So check it out. You've been champion in other organizations.
Yes, sir.
But now, being the fact that you're fighting against Lance Palmer, the face of the PFL essentially, and you're on ESPN now, what does a win like that do for your profile and, again, just your career going forward?
The way that I'm about to finish Palmer is going to put me on the top 10 highlights. Me being on ESPN2, doing what I'm about to do in the second round of Palmer, dun-dun-dun. And once we hit that, we off to stardom, baby. The way that I talk, the way that I walk, the way that I move, the way that I groove, people dig that. And you can't deny who I am. You can't deny I'm a bad man. You won't be able to deny what I'm about to do to Palmer.
There you go. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Bubba, thank you very much.